This is the Dogon podcast, and we're just going to shoot from the hip today. We have kind of had a really long episode last episode, but I just want to kind of take some time to just celebrate where we're at, you know, and think about how, when we started all this, it was really started back in February is when we got like the LLC. And I set up the Gmail account, and we got like our workspace, our online workspace set up, and all that kind of stuff. But it took a long time developing the product with the manufacturer, and so it wasn't until like June, really, maybe middle of May, that we really started cranking on this thing.
Yeah,
and a lot of times when you overanalyze, you paralyze, you tend to not do anything. And at that point I was making a ton of lists of all the stuff we had to do. I was just making lists, and that was all I was doing. I wasn't even, and it got to a point where I was like, all right, stop writing stuff down, start getting stuff done, and I still do that. I'll be like writing out, like I was doing it this morning. I was writing out a list of all this stuff, and I was like, I could have done these 3 fucking things before I wrote this list out. Like, I could have just did them. But there's certain aspects where I definitely think that helps. So.
I don't think I write things enough, because I think when I write things out, I remember them way easier.
Oh yeah. Just even if you like never look at it again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you guys, but we've all heard like, oh, I wrote out my shopping list, but I left it at home. But you still remembered it once you wrote it out.
I've been... one of the main reasons I like the Remarkable so much is it makes it easy to learn things. Like, I'll just be taking notes, and even if I don't really use them again, it really solidifies it in your head. Yeah,
and you don't have all this paper everywhere. It's just like a nice organized. Yeah, actually, our first retail account, we talked more about the Remarkable, I think, than any of the aspects of the product. Like,
it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a really cool product, and
it really is.
I mean, I spent a lot of money on it, but I think it was worth it. It's definitely saved enough paper to probably be worth it. But
I feel like it'll be something that like will last almost my lifetime.
Yeah, and the battery on that thing will last, months if if you're not using it 24/7, of course. But
yeah, mine's usually like 2-3 days, and I got to charge. But I charge at like 40-50%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and I've left it sitting for like a week before. And the thing's still got like full battery. So
it charges really quick too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it definitely does. It's a high quality product, and just like I said to her, I was like, it's a lot of money, but it's worth it. If you get over that sticker shock.
If you write things a lot, or even if you're just or if you're going through school or like trying to learn shit, definitely a really good product.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just a way to, and if you're somebody like, oh, I like to write, rather than, and it's like, that's why this is so cool, because it really does feel like writing.
Yeah, it's a little tablet with, like a paper feeling screen, and you write on it. You got your different little tips for your pen, and I don't know, it's a cool product.
Yeah, your tip actually, like the tip of the pen actually wears down.
Yeah, you have to replace them, which is interesting, I guess, just because it's a textured screen. But
and it comes with like quite a few, so it's not like you have to like order a bunch of them or something like that.
You get them with it. And they last forever. But and
even the ones that are like all worn out and fucked up, they still work. And it doesn't even mess up how you write either.
Yeah, and the tips are cheap as fuck. You don't have to worry about that. But
yeah, that's definitely one of my more favorite purchases that I've made in the last 5 years. I think
it's cool as hell.
Definitely. The GoPro's another one. I've been sold on GoPros since my first podcast, because I had so many issues with cameras and shit.
Only thing is I would improve the battery some fucking how and increase cooling, but other than that, it's a pretty cool little camera. It's really small, I guess, so...
Yeah, I think there's enough technology with it where they should do like some type of add-on that gives you more features. Like, like they have the media mod that you put over top of it, but they should have something that it like plugs into, like like its own stand, which they do have some of that stuff, but something that would allow you to zoom in. Yeah. Something that, just a few things that I think, they have the technology and they have the company bandwidth to make it happen. I think we should try to, I don't know, like there should be some type of self-cooling system so you can do, prolonged filming at high quality.
And I know there are different off-brand things that help with that, but It'd just be neat.
Yeah, it'd be cool if it was GoPro and you knew it was going to be safe, and it wasn't going to damage your camera or anything. But I actually had a couple kids tossing the camera around in the pool. We still got to use that footage in an ad, but it was funny. Like just like I was, every time that I went to like put it in water, I was always like,
it's scary.
And then it's like, oh, it's fine. And they were the same way. They were like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm positive. They're like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. And they finally like slowly put it underwater, and it was cool though to see other people kind of go through that as well. But
one thing I wanted to do was get a real camera, like not a GoPro, and just act like it's a GoPro or something. Be like, all right, guys, now put it underwater, and they freak out when it fucking breaks.
Yeah, be like, He's like, what'd you do? You didn't hold the tab? You let water in through that hole? Like, and people be like, I didn't know. Yeah, that would be pretty hilarious. And I have seen there's a lot of GoPro copycat companies now coming out, and they're making some pretty good action cameras. I mean, there's definitely some versatility out there, but GoPro, I think they've really seen that changed for streamers and for podcast production in general, because when you're starting a podcast, the barrier to entry to get like a quality camera, some of these like DSLR cameras, or I can't remember what they're exactly called, but they're like $5,000-$6,000 to get.
Yeah, I think that is what they're called, and
it is.
They're extremely expensive. Yeah,
you know how many times that I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's it, but I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Just like that in video thing, I was like,
oh yeah,
I was going to say in video, and I'm like, no, it just sounds weird, but I knew that's what it was. But yeah, I don't know, it's been fun on this journey, and kind of just seeing how things unfold. And I remember when we were starting way back in February, when we really started running on it in May and June, I remember just wishing to be where we are right now.
It is kind of a weird thing to think about. Like, we've been waiting a long time to get this little thing,
Yeah.
To be able to fucking sell it and have it, and I don't know, it's cool.
Meet all the requirements.
It's a real thing now.
Yeah, it was just, and that's like the truest showing that you say it before you see it.
Yeah.
That like validated that core value, that I've always lived by for years, is you have to say it before you see it. If you don't profess it into the world, you're never going to see it as a physical representation. You can think about it all you want.
Aren't willing to spend thousands of dollars on something or to build something like that. So I think it's really rare to actually have that happen with people.
Yeah, because, that's
with businesses or with startups and such.
I agree, but I think that still goes back to the say it before you see it, because the saying it part doesn't really it didn't, because we said we're gonna have this Dogon Go pack, we're gonna have this bag, we're gonna have this, because we said all this stuff, it didn't cause atoms to fly together and I don't want anyone to think that's what I'm saying. I'm saying because we said it so much, we had enough belief to risk thousands and thousands of dollars to be able to do it, and then we had enough belief to overcome little hurdles, and oh, this isn't going to work, and that's not going to work, we're not going to be able to do that. It was just we already convinced ourselves that this was a real thing before it was, so all of our actions aligned with making it a real thing, not ever coming into physical existence. So it was just I don't know, that was one of the most validating aspects of my core beliefs that I've seen in a long time.
Right, and the fact that everybody's enjoying it, and Take Some Tobacco already bought 125 of them, and I don't know, it's just cool.
It definitely is, and I remember the first time Tristan took it. It made me laugh inside and out, because he was like, "This thing actually works," and I was like,
"Really cool."
I was like, "You did all? We went through all this, and you didn't know if it was going to work?"
I had no fucking idea.
I knew it was going to work, because I've taken something similar, and I would take something else with it so that I could get almost
Never
this
tried
mixture.
That shit in my life, but he said it worked, so I was like, it probably works.
I just thought that was so awesome that he was like, "Oh my gosh, this thing works," and that's how a lot of customers are too, though.
That was one of my scary things. Like, what if I do all this and this product is just like a fucking sugar pill and I'm like some kind of scam artist? But no, I mean,
yeah, I'm really big on not being like gosh, what are they called? It's a fancy old word. Not a mountebank. A mountebank is similar. It's like an old saying for somebody who would come into a town and they'd basically like mount up on a step or a statue and like sell some type of snake oil,
I know
and convince people.
I think, but
gosh, I just can't remember. I know it's in my vocabulary teaching class on Audible. The guy, gosh, his name's on a building right around here. It's not the same guy, but he's a phenomenal professor, and he takes you through vocabulary words and definitions. And it's the most interesting lecture I have ever listened to. I've listened to that like 40 times, and that's why he's going to be so mad when he hears like, how did you not remember that word? Like, but it's like, but he'll be happy about mountebank because that one's in there. But there's another one. There's a colloquy word, and that's another word in there. Colloquy means like, yeah, colloquy is a related word, like a word that has like a relative meaning or somehow associated with. It doesn't mean like it's a synonym. It's just like a word that's used in correlation with that word, and so that other colloquy word is I just can't grab it. I can't grasp it. But I'm telling you, this guy's lecture is like, I got to get his name because this guy, it is like, if you're on Audible and you're not listening to the Personality Movement podcast or to the Dogon podcast, you got to check this guy out. I'm going to find it real quick. Oh, well, I don't know. It might be, I got like quite a few hundred books in here, and I think this one's down towards the beginning, but it is such a phenomenal lecture, and it's a part of the great courses on Audible. It's like a collection of professors from all around the world, from some of the best universities, and they actually capture some of their lectures. Some of them, I think they're done in the moment of the class, and other ones are lectures that they give, excuse me, as a recording. So I think this is one of those that was given as a recording because it's just so polished, and it's just like, I gotta search, guys. I'm going through 561 books. Let me look here. Building a Better Vocabulary. There it is. What's his name? Flanagan. I knew, gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue, but Kevin Flanagan from the Great Courses. He's a phenomenal professor, and it is just, it's so cool to hear him go through these different words and help you learn. Vocabulary was never something fun for me in school. I was just like, whatever, I get it. Yeah, that word means that. Cool. Yeah. I'm never going to use that word. Cool. But man, the way he did that is just top notch. It was a great lecture, but I wish I could remember that one word though.
Yeah. But I say a lot of words that people are like, what the fuck are you saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whenever you say big words, people are like, whoa.
Yep. And I've learned when I meet certain people, when I interact with certain people, not to do that, because sometimes people, from my personality, people are like, what are you trying to prove? Yeah. Trying to show that you're smart? You think you're smart? I'm like, no, like I didn't mean to be, I'm sorry. Like, I learned that word. I would tell you where I learned it, just, once I do learn something though, I find that if I apply it, dude, it sticks. Yeah. So when I was going through this, I've listened to a lot, but when I was like, really trying to learn some of these words, I would use them and people would be like, what the fuck? Like, why would you say that?
What the hell is that?
Like, you're just trying to sound smart. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm trying to be smart. Yeah. There's a difference. I don't care how I sound. I want to be smart. And part of that is raising that vocabulary. I mean, if I don't want to live my whole life with Eminem having a better vocabulary than me. And that guy is a lyrical genius with
that guy knows a lot
very
of
high
words.
Very high vocabulary.
He knows a lot of words, and he knows how to make them go together.
Knows how to use them, Yeah, and it's like, so that's just one area that I like to study. I wish I could remember, that what the colloquy was to mountebank, because it was just like, it's such a perfect word. But we don't want to be that, is basically what I'm saying. We want to put out something that is going to be something we can be proud of for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
I don't know. It's just cool that we've actually came this far, but
yeah. And now it's like we've come this far just to really start.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, just getting out of the TikTok shop yesterday.
I mean, that is a big move, though. I mean, a lot of people are going to be able to see it, be able to buy it now.
Yeah, we had like 94 people, like 18 in their cart. And then I was like, why do people abandon their cart on TikTok? Oh, if it's not free shipping, they don't want it. I'm like, okay, well, free shipping, done.
Yeah.
So there is free shipping on TikTok right now. It's
also another 15%. It's like $12 to buy it.
Yeah, the 15. Yeah, I did a live, like a flash live giveaway this morning, and the price was $11.11 just because I thought that was cool. Yeah. It like was a suggested price, and I was like, yeah, we got to run that. But I mean, with TikTok and with that single pack, to me that's more advertising and marketing.
Yeah.
We're not making money on a $12 pack sale.
Not a whole lot, that's for sure.
We're barely covering the shipping cost associated. That 15% is a part of a voucher on the app that we actually still get that 15%. The customer just doesn't have to pay it. TikTok pays us that difference, which is like wild that they have all of that. But I can't wait to get on TikTok fulfillment. Yeah. We'll just be able to boom 500 of these, ship them away to them, and they can sell them, ship them, take care of it. We don't even have to worry about it. Yeah. I'm definitely excited about that. If you're watching or listening in California, we're not selling them there right now. There's a couple different disclosures and label things you have to do with California, and I just, I really don't want to get into all that right now. Yeah. I don't want to alienate a large section of our market and not be able to sell to them, but I just, I kind of want to focus on certain areas. And, with some of the laws in California, it's like, even if I have those labels, even if I have that stuff, if
California is so bad with its laws. I mean, I thought Texas was shitty, but I mean, Texas is just shitty in a different way, Yeah.
But California, though, I mean, gee, it's just like, that's like painting your fence is like a war with the city.
You gotta fucking have like 47 certifications, fucking 13 different okays from the governor or some shit.
Yeah. I was talking to this young lady, and she used to live there. I think she said Oakland County or something like that. I can't remember exactly where, but she said it was absolute hell trying to get approval to do basic renovations or upkeep on her house. That it was like
stupid
10 meetings and 10 denials of them, like, no, you can't do that.
It's like the super fucking shitty government of California. I don't know. It's just terrible. I don't like that.
It's just like, I'm all for less government.
Yeah, I know, and they're like super fucking forward with everything needs to have it.
Yeah, let's have government everywhere.
I hate that.
Yeah, like people are like, well, what do you think about Roe versus Wade being overturned? I don't think the government should have anything to do with that. Yeah, from the beginning, I don't think they should have. Even now that it's overturned, I don't think the government should have any say.
What was that about again? So I'm not stupid.
Roe v. Wade.
Yeah,
it's about abortion.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and it's like, I do not think the government should have any say. It should be doctor, patient. That's it. There shouldn't be a government law, whether it's for or against it. You know, I mean, I'm somebody who, like, to me, life begins at conception. So for me, like, I think in the case of an abortion, you can have, a loss of a life. I really firmly believe that.
Well, it is, technically speaking, but
a lot of people argue that it's not, and that it's part of the woman's body, and so it's her choice. And I'm not trying to take away the choice from the woman by any means.
I don't think that it should necessarily not, because there are situations where that is right, and you should, like, there's a lot of situations where kids, get pregnant, and it's like, a kid should not have a kid.
Yeah, or if the mother is like going to die if she gives birth. Yeah, it's like, there's certain situations, but see, that I don't even think that should be something that, like, normal people discuss. Like, that shouldn't even be like well, I think this is okay and that's okay. No, it's like, the doctor went to school to determine this stuff. Like, let's just let the doctor tell the lady, and the lady make the decision, and then done. Like, it doesn't need to be anybody. Like, there are some aspects to the.
It's just the only thing that people get so up and antsy about is the fact that someone's dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I get it, but
yeah, so do I. And I mean, and trust me, I think there's a whole other side of that argument that I've gotten a lot of heat for in the past. I've gotten a lot of shit for, but there's, I had a friend of mine who, his girlfriend got pregnant, and he was excited. He was happy. and she was indifferent.
And she didn't really want it.
Yeah, she didn't really know, and then she decided to terminate the pregnancy, and
he was probably crushed.
It fucked him up, dude.
Yeah.
And people say, "Oh, well, that's not. It doesn't matter. He doesn't have any input." Well, I mean, I don't know. He's got DNA input there.
I don't know. It's a hard question, really, because she has to go through the birth of it, and then he had a part of it. He's the father, of course, but I don't know. That's a whole fucking.
But that's like the responsibility of having sex.
Yeah.
It's not like you can't just do anything without consequences.
Yeah, I mean, there is a reason that you have to be safe when you're doing these things, but you have to really fucking understand what you're doing. Like, you're gonna fucking get pregnant and have a child and then have them for 18 fucking years, you know?
Yeah. But if you're like, well, I still want to be able to have sex, but I don't want to have that responsibility. Well,
there's situations where you can just put a fucking condom on her. I don't know.
Yeah, but even that, I think if you are an adult and you make that decision to be intimate with somebody else, that decision should include pregnancy in 18 years. And if it doesn't, then you shouldn't be having sex with that person. Period.
I don't agree, but
I'm sorry. I will never ever sleep with somebody that I would not have children with when in that moment, at that time of decision. If there is any question in my mind that, oh no, there's no way I could ever be with this person, there's no way I could have children with them, I'm not going to have sex with them.
Well,
I don't think that's appropriate.
No. Yes and no, but
yeah. That's just me, I mean, and I've turned down a lot of women because of that, because it's just like, no, like this, to me, it's something way more sacred and way more important than what has been demonized in today's society. Like this lustful, OnlyFans society of skanks and thoughts, right. It's like,
I mean, by no means do I think, I don't know. I think people can do what they want, but at the same time, it's like, is that really what you want?
Yeah, I know. Is it really what, for that moment of pleasure, 18 years of responsibility or a lifetime of internal scar. Because there's not a single woman that goes through an abortion that thinks it's a funny thing.
No, of course, of course not.
Like, even if they act like, oh, I don't care.
Unless there are some morbid people, but
Yeah, but even those people, it's just, I truly believe that's like a masking attempt to be like, oh, it doesn't bother me, but it does, and just that whole side, like, men can't comment on the argument because it's, it's not their body, it's not, but it's like, I don't know, man. If you played that card game with them, I
think if there was like a plan and you were like, yeah, let's have a fucking kid, and you're like, maybe not, and the other guy or the guy's like, well, I kind of really want that kid, I think. I don't. It's just such a hard one.
I know, and we're not trying to make any enemies by any means, but we're just having an open discussion. But I think that when you decide to have sex with somebody, you're making that decision to procreate. That's what it is.
Biologically speaking, that is 100% what that is. But do I 100% agree that I would never have sex with somebody that I wouldn't want to have a kid with? No, but that's just me personally, and everybody can have their own opinion. But
yeah, I just believe too much in soul ties and being connected with somebody from that moment. Because there's something sacred about another human life growing inside of another human that was made by two of them.
Which is why also in that same scenario, I would do everything in order to not have a child with someone that I wouldn't want to,
Yeah. So, but then you're just doing it for that momentary pleasure with that person?
Technically speaking, yeah.
Hopefully they would know that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That would be the thing. The agreement. The only fucking situation where I would do that is where they know that, of course.
Yeah. Because, to me, a guy that is sleeping with a woman and he has no interest in having children with her or being with her.
I would never really
like using
be with someone that I don't really have interest in general. So I guess I don't know.
It's kind of interesting when you start thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, fuck, like, I don't know if I believe that, but I think I might. Like,
it's a brain fuck. I don't know, but
yeah. And I don't know. I just take it as something more seriously. And, because I've seen and talked to women who've terminated pregnancies or who have lost a child. Like, if you ever know a woman who's like expecting a child and excited and just like full of life and buying clothes and getting ready for the room, and then there's a miscarriage.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And and then there's thousands or hundreds of thousands of women terminating pregnancies when you have thousands of women crying over the fact that they lost. I mean, it's one of those things where I don't know if the result or the ripple is pain and the alternate is pain, like 18 years of, that's pain, full lifetime of pain from terminating a pregnancy. I mean, it's like both ways it's like choose your pain, choose what you want to live with. But to me, it's like,
but at the end of the day, having a child is going to be way better than you really think in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never met anybody who was like, yeah, I'd kill those kids. I mean, they say that stuff in the moment, but but they don't really mean it.
Yeah. I mean, there's some extreme situations, of course.
Obviously,
but
there's always somebody, like
there's always somebody that's
some mom who drowned her kids or some shit. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and dude, I mean, I've pushed away tons of women by having this very conversation.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure.
Because I'm just like, oh, if you're just looking for a quick fun time, no, I'm not somebody who's used ever.
Yeah.
If this action that's meant for procreation.
I mean, 90% of the time I will never be in that situation. Yeah. But like if there is a situation where I'm like, damn, I kind of want to fuck this bitch, like, and she's like, yeah, but if it's like a mutual thing, but at the same time, I don't really do that. I don't fucking go out and try to have sex with as many women as possible. But I think that if I am doing anything like that, it is a serious situation, and I want to go further with that, of course. So, I mean, in many ways, you are right, and I think that I believe for that mostly. But
it's weird to think about, like when it's said out loud, you're like, no, I don't know about that. But
I don't know.
But then it's like
I never really thought about it that hard. But
yeah, I had a woman. It's because this one woman gave me that thought process, and she was like, so if you are just having sex with me, but you would never want to have kids with me or never want to be with me, then you're just using me for my body? And I was like, well, no. And she was like, well, then what is it for? And I was like, well, it's because we're going to enjoy it. She's like, for no reason, just a little bit of enjoyment and then done. And she was like, so if you tell me that you don't want to be with me, you wouldn't see yourself having kids with me, then you just want to use me for this moment. Are you going to talk to me for the rest of your life? Are you going to interact with me? No. You're just using me for my body.
That's why I say if it's a mutual agreement, then go for it. But otherwise, then, you're doing some shitty things.
Yeah.
But
and I'm not saying, like, in no way at all throwing any of this shade at Tristan. I've never seen him be anything but respectful towards women, 100%.
I don't treat anybody with any kind of disrespect, but I'm just like going through the thought process and being like, well, in this situation, would I? I don't know.
If you can tell, a lot of times we try to create opposition to the other person's comments, regardless of whether
just
we feel that.
I feel like that. Yeah, because I feel like that's just...
It'd be boring healthy. If you're like, oh, you think that? Cool, yeah, we both agree, guys. So the next topic.
That's boring,
like, nobody would watch that shit. But we're probably going to get a bunch of hate for this one. But, we're just speaking from the heart, just being honest. If you don't like some of the stuff that we said, give us a comment. Let us know. Interact with us. If you've had personal experiences that you want to talk about, if you have, a perspective that you think would change our minds, would make us look at things differently, get in touch with us. But, my thought process and belief comes from a very reverent place of respect for women and understanding the emotional impact of many different situations in a woman's life, whether it's a terminated pregnancy or a one-night stand or I've seen the negative emotional reactions of that, and I've seen what it does to someone's self-esteem, what it does to their confidence, what it does, so for me it's like I've developed that because of pain that I've caused in the past, because of mistakes that I have made. And so it's made me think differently, because it's like, if I'm going to leave a mark on somebody's life, is this what I want it to be?
Yeah. I mean, of course not.
You know how many women I've run into where we've had this conversation and we ended up parting ways that night instead of having fun. And I'll run into them, they'll be with their husband or they're single or whatever. And they just, so many times they've been like, I still think about you all the time. I just wanted to tell you what you said that night. I thought you were a fucking loser that night, but it really hit home. And I really, I've had 3 women, I can't say a ton, but I've had 3 women have got back in touch with me, had that conversation with me, and they're like, and one of them was married, and she even told her husband, like, right in front of him, the whole story. I'm like, hey buddy, like she's like this tall. He was like some bodybuilder, dude. His strap, like he was
I could squeeze my head between his fingers.
He was gigantic, and and he like listened to the whole story, and he was like, that's a man. And he like shook my hand. He's like, nice to meet you. I'm like, holy fuck, like turned your wife down years ago. And and that woman specifically, it was in Ann Arbor, that woman specifically was like, whatever, loser, and slammed the door after that conversation. And it was so like, it was impactful. We were friends, but like we didn't really talk much after that. And and she wasn't even like into me. She was just a little tipsy and a little, and she's like, I've never thought about an interaction with a guy from a party more than I've thought about that conversation I had with you.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, damn, that's awesome. That, hopefully it wasn't terrible, but
yeah.
but yeah, that was, and she knows who she is. She's out there, and her husband's like, I can't believe he's talking about this. No, he was cool. But yeah, so no hate. Nothing but love and acceptance for everybody out there, regardless of what choices you make. I believe that we all have a certain level of grace that regardless of whether we made the right or wrong choice, we're still in a good spot as a human being, and we still have the ability to make right and wrong decisions with our hearts. And I don't think that we're ever like damned to hell because of a decision we made, because
I don't think so.
Perspective is everything, understanding is everything. So, there's certain things that we don't understand and certain perspectives that we just can't hold. And, so I don't think we should be judging anybody for any decisions they make.
Once we're fucking dead, we're going to be in the same spot with each other,
Amen. Looking up our bones. They're probably going to start doing like, okay, this was like a Theo Von joke that I thought about this morning, where like I could see Theo Von saying something like, soon they're going to start, trans people are going to start putting like their sex engraved into their bones, so that if they do get dug up in 10,000 years from now, they'll know that, nope, actually, that was a lady. And I was like, and that was just like a thought I had because I saw a Theo Von video this morning, and I've told you guys this, and Tristan this a couple of times. My imagination and mind works so quickly. I'm not like super intelligent in a lot of ways, but my mind goes so fast that I can go through like 50 different scenarios and get to the right answer. But like it happens all the time where I'll just get like spurred by just like one comment or one word that somebody says, and I have like this whole so I had like this whole Theo Von podcast in my head this morning, and that was just a small part of it. But
that's funny.
but yeah, I think we got some content creation to do. I think we got to get out there and get sweating in the sun and
figure it out.
Yeah, see who we can connect with, and it's not so much the content; it's capturing the growth and the interaction as we go. So, if you guys are liking what you're hearing so far, if you want to know more about Dogon Packs, what's going on, go to dogonpacks.com. Make sure you check out all of our old episodes. Like, follow, share on all of our social media. I'm not trying to just like push that down you, but if you help grow the pack, this thing's going to be unstoppable.
Right. And I mean, our ultimate goal is to give back to everybody. So, I mean, once we're up there, everybody's up there.
Amen.
So we'll see you later.
See you guys.
Among Us.